Hello, beautiful souls. If you're watching this, you probably already know what it feels like to want your divine masculine more than you want to admit. And we have all been there before. So, truly, that's why I have decided. In fact, I was thinking more about the title than the discourse itself. So that's why I've titled it Why Divine Feminine Desperation is Such a Turn Off to Our Divine Masculines, right? So today's discourse, we're going to talk about how desperation reverses the energetic polarity of union. So with that, I want you guys to know that, you know, these things happen in our twin flame journey. With that, a very, very warm welcome to all of you, to all the new subscribers. I'm glad you are here, and for all of you who have been here from the start, thank you for being here. And I'm so glad we have been able to build this small community. And you guys are amazing. When I read through the comments, how you support one another, how you encourage one another, how some of your experiences support others as well. So you see, this is such a small divine feminine group, and that's why I'm like so glad that we are all here today, able to talk about these things unfiltered. So with that, we're going to delve right into this topic, without holding back. Again, I'm going to talk about it as it is. All right, because in this channel, we talk about everything as it is. And again, I just looked at how many videos I had done. I mean, I've done more videos. Like I said, I'm still uploading some of my old videos because Facebook had mass deleted all of our videos, because I started doing live since 2021 November, so that's like 4 videos a month. So I've only like uploaded like maybe like 60 or 70% of all those videos. So I still have, so I did a mass download because they'd given us till like August. In fact, it was still June, but then they gave us extension. So I'm like looking through the old videos. Having said that, I'm also inspired to create new content for you guys as well. So that's why it's been pretty interesting. So I've got over 900 videos, and again, it's everywhere. The older videos, I only uploaded them much later, even though a lot of those videos are like dated 2021, 2022. I think I uploaded like my first video in like June 2023, because everyone wanted a playlist and I couldn't create a playlist on Facebook. So I was like, okay, let me upload like my lives then and some of the older lives so that there's a playlist for my clients, for you guys to watch it. And then somehow, over the years, this channel has grown beautifully, and I'm so happy about it, because you see, when we keep it small, it's really, really beautiful, right? And again, so I thank you all for always being so kind with your words and so supportive. Once in a while, of course, there could be trolls and that, but the universe takes care of it. So with that, without me further talking about the journey of the channel, let me delve right into this topic. All right. So, again, this is what we go through as divine feminines, especially when we are going through the wounded divine feminine phase, to wake up wondering if he's thinking about us, or in the wounded divine feminine phase, looking through his social media to see who has he followed, who has he added, is he seeing someone else, is he dating someone else, is there someone else, it could just be a celebrity that he might be following, or it could be an acquaintance. But the pain of your heart skipping a bit. What if he's with someone else? To check his last scene on WhatsApp. Oh my goodness. I think every one of us divine feminines at some point is guilty of that. To rewatch every memory in our mind. Like that's the only movie playing in our heart. And you know what? We are not crazy. We are not needy. We are not doing anything wrong by loving our divine masculine that much. But having said that, there is a fine energetic line between love and desperation. And today we're going to talk about why that desperation, especially for us divine feminines, when especially in a divine feminine journey, is not just unattractive to our beloved divine masculine, it's actually repellent energetically, soulfully, and sometimes in every way possible, viscerally, right? So let's go deep. So let me make something very clear. Desperation isn't just a mood. We can't just be like desperate, right? It's not just crying in our bed at night or feeling anxious when our divine masculine doesn't text or doesn't meet. Desperation is an energetic frequency, not just a feeling. Desperation is an energy, and in energy work, frequency is law. So, when the divine feminine is in desperation, as the divine feminine, when we are in desperation, our frequency says, I don't believe I'm enough. I need my divine masculine to soothe the part of me I'm unwilling to face. I'm not safe until I'm chosen. And that energy doesn't feel like love to our beloved divine masculine. It actually feels like weight. Even when we are smiling, even when we are saying all the right things, energies don't lie. You see, that's the thing. Energies don't lie, because in this sacred polarity, as the divine feminine, we hold the magnetism of the connection. And when we are in desperation, we invert our magnet, it flips the polarity, and our divine masculine doesn't feel safe. See, that's the thing. Our divine masculine doesn't want to be worshipped. He wants to feel you holding yourself. So let's break this illusion right now. Most divine feminines think that worshipping him will make him feel secure. Adoring him will make him feel secure and powerful. But here's the truth. A healthy divine masculine doesn't want to be the air you breathe. Really, that's often a narcissistic male who would want us to worship him, right? Our divine masculine actually wants to be the man who respects us, the divine feminine, who can breathe for herself. So when we orbit him like a moon orbiting a planet, when our mood depends on his behavior, when our entire day gets dragged because he didn't say good morning, we are no longer holding our feel. And what does that do to our beloved divine masculine? It activates one of the two responses. You probably already know it. Number one, our divine masculine feels suffocated because our energy says, I can't survive without you. Number two, he feels responsible, and that kills the polarity, and he starts to pull away. You see, number two, when he feels responsible, and it kills the polarity. You see, number one, he feels suffocated. Number two, he feels responsible. So what would he do? He adores you, right? He'll try to walk away. He'll try to shut you off. He'll block you. He will tell you mean things so that you won't follow him. And this is why he starts to pull away, not because our divine masculine doesn't love us, but because our desperation feels like a loss of freedom. I've talked about this a lot of times, the story of love and freedom. How love wanted to domesticate freedom and how freedom wanted to be free. So that's us, divine feminines. As love, we want to cage up freedom, but freedom can't be caged, right? So how are freedom and love going to work? In balance, in alignment, in uniqueness, in support. Not by love trying to trap freedom or freedom trying to run away from love. Either way, it's not going to work. So that's why desperation signals you are not in your divine role. Now, let's go even deeper, because in true sacred polarity, the divine feminine is the Fieldholder. We are the soul anchor. We are the energetic womb of the union. So when we are in our power, we create the space in which our divine masculine can rise. But when we slip into desperation, something shifts. We become the chaser, the beggar, the emotionally destabilized one. And you know what? And you know what that does? It flips the roles. The divine masculines, the divine masculines who are meant to bring structure now feel like he has to protect himself from our emotions because we become so unpredictable, unstable, over expressive, and often energetically leaky. The love bombing, the attention, the obsession, the begging, that waiting, like staring at your phone that he will reply, or I don't even want to go there. Excuse me. So, this is not the divine wife, the divine feminine he remembers from the soul. This is the wounded girl who never learned how to self soothe. And it terrifies him because the union is not meant to be soul, because the union is not meant to be trauma bonded, it's meant to be soul led. That's why desperation is a trauma pattern, not our truth. So let's talk about something that's going to sting a little. I think his whole discourse is probably stinging all of us a lot. Our desperation isn't about our divine masculine. It's about what we have never received before our divine masculine arrived. The craving, the longing, the ache in our chest, that's not him. That's our inner child. That's our unmet inner child looking for someone to finally stay. So, when we are, when we are desperate, we are not acting from our present self. We are acting from the part of us that was abandoned, rejected, forgotten, and ignored. And even if our words sound romantic, our gestures are romantic, our affection is beautiful, our energetic code is screaming, please don't leave me too. And no matter how evolved our divine masculine is, he will not want to become the savior for our unhealed. Sorry about that, guys. My bottle dropped, because if I were to put my bottle there, then you guys will say the mic. So, all right. So let me put there, place it there. So as I was saying, right? No matter how evolved our beloved divine masculine is, he will not want to become the savior of our unhealed trauma, because that's not his soul contract. He's here to mirror us, not rescue. Divine masculines respect sovereignty more than closeness. That's why I like to call our beloved divine masculines freedom, and I like to call us divine feminines love. Here's something most divine feminines don't want to hear. All right. We think we are being emotionally open and vulnerable. By doing this, we'll make our divine masculine stay. But that's not what he's looking for. He doesn't want a woman who's always available. He doesn't want a woman who cries to him before she cried to herself. He doesn't want a woman who makes him the center of a nervous system. Our divine masculine wants a woman who is emotionally sovereign, who knows how to hold herself in the storm, who doesn't text out of panic, who doesn't try to talk it out every time he withdraws, like literally, trying to talk it out, if something doesn't go well. And, he might have just lied about going on a date when there was no date at all, or he might have lied that he has a girlfriend when he has no girlfriend at all. And you want to talk it out when when you want to find out what is going on, and he tells you the truth. He doesn't. He's trying to say when he withdraws, give him the space. Because he respects strength, not noise. Silence, not explanation. Presence, not performance. All right? And desperation feels like the opposite of strength. See, the energetic law, right? What is the energetic law? What chases repels. I'm going to quickly do a mic check. because Pluto is now direct, but still I just want to make sure. And like I said, this mic has its life of its own. Where is it? Okay, perfect. I can be heard. Okay, perfect. Okay, there's a lag. All right. So, as I was saying, right, the energetic law, what chases repels. So let's get metaphysical for a second. I love to talk about the metaphysical a lot. So there's a law of energy that governs every twin flame dynamic. Whatever chases repels. So the moment as the divine feminine we start grasping, like example, we are like obsessively checking his social media, or even obsessively trying to check astrology, or sending messages to test if he cares, posting things to get his attention. And I know many divine feminines, we're all guilty of that, right? We post a story and we are waiting for him to see if he sees it, or even having a setting where only he can see it, using spiritual logic to thus justify our poor boundaries. Our field is no longer magnetic, it's distorted. And when our energy is distorted, our divine masculine soul memory of us becomes very confused. He can still feel that we are his divine wife, he can still feel that we are the divine feminine, but he can't find the stillness because we are not still. It's waving in all directions, trying to get seen, trying to be chosen, trying to get something back that was already his from the start, you see. So that's the thing. When we start to behave in that way, it's like we are trying to get something back that our divine masculine is ours from the start, and vice versa. So why, as the divine feminine, why must we be the one to recalibrate? So many of you ask me, right, why do we have to do the work? Why is it that the divine feminine has to rise first? And why are we carrying the burden all the time? Here's why. Because we are the field holder, right? Our nervous system sets the tone. Our frequency stabilizes the field. Our choice to hold or collapse determines whether the union collapses or stabilizes. So, when we are desperate, the field is flooded with chaos, and our divine masculine doesn't recognize us. He may still love us, but cannot anchor to us, which is why our first job as the divine feminine is not to prove anything to him, it's to become the empowered divine feminine again. Still, stable, sacred, not seeking, not performing, not waiting, just being. So let's stop sugarcoating even more and get real. When our divine masculine feels desperation coming from us, what does he actually experience? All right. I know this is going to hurt, it's going to stink. Pressure, emotional noise, a sense of being needed instead of wanted, a guilt trap, even if it's unintentional, a subconscious warning that we are trying to control the connection. And that's what he hates, that control, right? And depending on his soul path and ego strength, he will do one of these three things. Famous one, number one, ghosting to escape the energetic pressure. Number two, lying to avoid confrontation. So you might lie about, he's dating someone, or doing this or doing that, or he might just say, oh, he has no time to meet, lies. Or number three, overcorrect by asserting false control to reclaim his sense of safety. You see these things, ghost, lie, or overcorrect. So none of these are signs that he doesn't care. They are signs that our energy is too loud for him to hear his own truth. The more we chase, the more he pulls. The more we panic, the more he hides. This is the reverse mirror effect, guys. You're actually pushing him away while thinking you're loving him deeper. So how to heal the desperation frequency? So, what can we do about this? Here's our practical pathway, right? Number one, acknowledge the wound. So, we got to be honest with ourselves. Where do we feel incomplete without him? It could be, that loneliness, feeling that emptiness, like he's not there, or it could be past hurt. Number two, reclaim our body. Desperation often lives in the womb. That's why often you feel it there. The desperation, the solar plexus, and the truth. So you can do many things to tackle that. Number three, practice sacred silence. When you feel the urge to reach out, pause. Sit with the ache, let it burn, let it cleanse. Number four, reaffirm your identity outside the connection. Who are you without him? Who do you love? Sorry. Who are you without him? What do you love? What are you creating? What are you embodying? And the final step, remember, you got to remember, you are the magnet. As divine feminines, we are the magnet. The moment we return to stillness, our field becomes magnetic again. And here's the beautiful part. When we stop chasing our divine masculine energetically, we start calling him back soul to soul. So, my beloveds, I know this is a big triggering discourse. But it is the truth, right? So if you have been in that space of feeling too much, if you felt the urge to call, text, or pour your heart out just to get a response, please know this. Our desperation doesn't make us unlovable, it makes us human. But we are not here to stay in that loop. We are here to lead the field. So we got to remember that the sacred divine feminine isn't the beggar. We are here to remember, as the sacred feminine, we are not beggars. We are the empowered divine feminine. We are still unmoved, undeniable. And when we sit back in our frequency, our divine masculine feels it. And nothing, no karmic, no distance, no ego can stop the return, because what's magnetic must be met. So if you are ready to stop chasing, collapsing, the polarity reversal, and hold your third energy field in sacred stillness, you're ready, right? You are ready to bring the journey to the next level. But having said that, I want to bring you guys one more level deeper, Let's recode the frequency of not being enough to that we becoming the field that our DM can't run from. So, I want to take you to the part 2 of my discourse, right? The second part, where we're going to talk about why, the whys, right? So, in part 2, we are not here to shame the desperation. We are not here to understand it, heal it, and rise through it. Because here's the truth. We are here to understand it, heal it, and to rise through it. We are not here to shame that desperation. We are really not here to feel self-pity. We are really not here trying to figure things out in that way. We are truly here to understand, decipher, heal, and rise. But here's the truth, right? Desperation isn't our true frequency. It's the residue of soul memory distortions, nervous system collapse, and ungrieved abandonment. So let's go deeper into polarity reversal. Let's go into inner collapse behind the chase. So, nervous system imprinting. What is nervous system imprinting? Why desperation is pre-verbal? So before you ever send that first desperate message, before you ever spiral into checking his last scene, your body was already wired for this. Desperation is not a mental overreaction. It is actually a nervous system imprint that begins before we ever met our beloved divine masculine. So for us divine feminines, that desperation is pre-verbal. It lives in our womb. in the root chakra, in the solar plexus, in the parts of us that never got to feel safe, seen, and held. So when our divine masculine enters the field with his divine presence, his masculine strength, and that soul familiarity, he activates what was previously buried. And in that activation, we don't just fall in love, we fall back into our oldest womb. You see, why is it that our divine masculines silence feeds the desperation loop? So here's something you've probably experienced. We send our divine masculine a vulnerable message, he doesn't reply. Always. It always happens. Even a normal guy would reply to that, but divine masculine, you might send him like a 300-word SMS, WhatsApp message, he won't reply. To the point you'll probably delete it and forget about it. So our divine masculine doesn't reply, our chest tightens, we try to play it cool, but the ache grows louder. We wait, we hope, we start scrolling his feed, we wonder what we did wrong, and here's what's happening energetically. The void he creates with his silence mirrors the original void from our childhood wound. The lack of response reactivates the same wound that says, maybe I'm too much. Maybe I'm not lovable. Maybe I should shrink again. But here's the catch. The desperation isn't because he's silent. It's because the part of us that never felt safe is running the show again. And that's why no matter how many times he goes, comes back, explains, blocks, unblocks, lashes out, be nice, disappears again, the ache stays until we reclaim our field. So let's be brutally honest here. Desperation is the feminine need to merge too soon. Sometimes, as the divine feminine, desperation doesn't just come from trauma, it comes from a shadow need to merge with someone before we have anchored ourselves, right? So this is why the divine feminine shadow most don't want to talk about is wanting our divine masculine to be the source of our identity, wanting him to fix the hole inside of us by giving our commitment, attention, and validation, wanting our divine masculine to complete our self, unlived self. This isn't love, it's energetic fusion without foundation. And our divine masculine, our beloved divine masculine, can feel it. He may not have the language, but his soul reads it as unsafe merging. He thinks, she wants all of me and I haven't even chosen myself yet. She's expecting things from me that I'm not equipped to give. Her identity is collapsing into mine and I'm not ready to carry that weight. That's what he thinks. Like literally he thinks that as the divine feminine, we want all of him, that when he has not even chosen himself, that we're expecting things from him that he's not even capable of giving, or that our identity is collapsing into his and he's not ready to carry that weight. And so he runs, not because he doesn't love us, but because our energy is trying to become him instead of us being us, right? So the divine masculine is always testing our feminine inner stability. So one of the sacred truths that I've seen again and again and again in our twin flame journeys is that the divine masculine would test us. We will test the divine feminine's nervous system before anchoring union. And no, this isn't a mind game. It's an energetic initiation. He will go quiet. He will disagree with us. He will delay the reunion. He will be inconsistent. He will ignore our highest vibration messages. He will mirror our abandonment wound. And the point is not to punish us. It is to expose the parts of us that are still outsourcing our worth to his presence. Because here's the deepest truth. He needs to know that we can hold ourselves before he chooses to build something with you, right? He needs to know that our love is a field, not a storm, that our affection is a flame, not a wildfire, that our soul is anchored, not grasping. Otherwise, he will subconsciously associate you with instability, no matter how deep the love is. So the timeline jumping doesn't work when it's fueled by lack. Here's where a lot of divine feminines get stuck on the spiritual side. Trying to timeline jump. Like I said, doing affirmations, trying to manifest, script conversations. But underneath all of it, if there is lack, like example, I'm doing this to get him, I'm raising my vibration so he will come back, I'm surrendering because I read that surrender brings union faster. Let me tell you something, guys. The frequency of strategy is not the frequency of truth. Our divine masculine can feel when our rituals, our upgrades, our glow ups are still driven by energetic hunger. That hunger is a black hole. It swallows magnetism, it taints our field. So our job is not to become better so he comes back. Our job is to become whole with or without him. That's the vibration he cannot resist. So let's talk about the real alchemy, how to shift from desperation to devotion, all right? How do we shift out of desperation without pretending, repressing, or faking strength? We do this. We acknowledge the ache fully, truthfully. We can write it down, cry it out, witness it without judgment. Number two, track the trigger. Ask ourselves, what story is this activating? Is it the he's leaving again story, that I'm never enough story? Number three, anchor our breathing. Place one hand on your heart, one on your womb. Breathe until your mind settles, and your body feels real again. Remember your flame self. We don't need to prove, perform, or panic. We just are. And feel that again, and transmute through sacred practice. You can move, dance it out, grounding, gardening, walking barefoot, anything that works for you. This is to pull our energy back without shame, because desperation is not a sin, it is a signal. And the signal says it's time to come back. All right, so what happens when we stop chasing our divine masculine energetically? Here's what most people don't realize. The divine masculine feels when we stop chasing him, not just physically, but in the ether, etherically as well. Our field recalibrates, our pressure dissolves, our frequency turns from pleading to presence, and suddenly he thinks about us again. He wonders where we went. He feels the absence of our chaos. He feels invited, not trapped. This is how the polarity resets. Not when we chase, not when we push, but when we remember ourselves. We become the stillness again. And that still flame is what calls our divine masculine back to the fire, not because he feels obligated, but because he finally feels safe in our love. So, what is sacred feminine longing versus wounded feminine desperation? So let's make a sacred distinction now. Longing is not the same as desperation. Longing is poetry. It's devotional, it's alive with soul. Desperation is chaotic, it's fear driven, it collapses the field. We can long for our divine masculine without grasping. We can ache for him without crumbling. We can hold space for the reunion without making our peace conditional on it. This is what we call sacred longing, and it's actually part of our spiritual essence. The difference is this: longing is an open portal, desperation is a closed loop. So when we feel the ache next time, ask, am I longing or am I collapsing? And if you're collapsing, forgive yourself and then come back to your stillness. The real reason why our divine masculine pulls back when we are desperate is because. So let's close this with the most honest truth of all. Our divine masculine pulls away when we are desperate because he remembers our divinity. Yes, you've heard that right, all right? His soul remembers the version of you who is fierce but not forceful, soft but not submissive, present but not chasing, loving but not leaky. The divine wife, he remembers that. So when we show up in desperation, his nervous system rejects it. Because it's like, where is excuse me, where is the goddess? Excuse me, guys. Not because our divine masculine hates us, not because he doesn't care, but because we are no longer vibrating as the divine goddess we are. We are not being rejected here. We are being redirected back to the version of ourselves that his soul knows is his divine wife. That's the version our divine masculine is always destined for. That That's the version, he will be able to merge with. That's the field that births union. So, if you ever felt the stink of your own desperation, the moments you wish you could take back, that message, the comment, that spiral, please know you're not alone. You're not broken. Waking up you're not just waking up just like that. You are waking up to the real mechanics of energetic love. You're waking up to your power as a field holder. You're waking up to the part of you that no longer needs to perform, chase, or collapse. And if you're ready to finally pull that desperation out by the root, to shift into your sacred feminine presence essence again, you can work one on one with me. You can book your first time Twin Flame Psychic Guidance session in the link in the description. Again, all my sessions are conducted one on one with me via Zoom, via video call, so you can ask me all the questions during our session. And I've also introduced some core healings and activations that will be very, very helpful in your journey. So do check them out, and I'll highly, highly recommend Soul Realignment. And if you guys need some guidance, you can book a session with me. You can book the Ask Me Anything question. I mean, you can ask me any question session as well. It's all under my website under book a session. Book a psychic session. You'll have all of my different timings as well. So with that, I'll see you all again. And I know, guys, this discourse is going to stink. But, we've all been there before in this human body when we have forgotten who we really are, that girlfriend energy. But remember, it is all meant to happen, and our divine masculine is always mirroring the place where we are, the part where we are. With that, I'll see you all again with another discourse. Love you all and take care, and bye-bye.